Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Bench's Book Reviews. What's in the box today? Oof, heavy today. Let's see. It is this one. Sorry, see that? It's called Little Grey Rabbit's Birthday, and it's by Alison Uttley with pictures by Margaret Tempest. Here we go. It says it's a Little Grey Rabbit book, suggesting it's one of many. I guess this is the birthday one. There's also a picture on the front of a rather small looking rabbit with a birthday cake. So that's probably who it's about. Let's see. It's quite new, I'm not sure anyone's read this before. Let's go. Squirrel and Hare were gardening one fine day. They're just called Squirrel and Hare, they're not given sizes or colours. It's Little Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day, said Squirrel. It's probably 21st of June, is it? We must give her a nice present. A very nice present, agreed Hare. A cake or something we can all share. Okay. Yes, a birthday cake with candles on it, said Squirrel. I don't like the taste of candles, objected Hare. They're not to eat, cried Squirrel. They're to show how old you are. 3 candles if you are 3 years old. And 100 if you are 100 years old, said Hare. Oh, Squirrel, can we make the cake ourselves? I think so, nodded Squirrel, but it must be a secret. Those are pictures of Hare and Squirrel. There they are. Approximately there. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah, what's next? Just then, Grey Rabbit came running out of the house. Grey Rabbit! I don't know if this is Little Grey Rabbit or if this is regular-sized Grey Rabbit, who could be Little Grey Rabbit's older sibling. We'll find out, I suppose. Grey Rabbit, said Hare. Squirrel and I have been saying that it will be your Shh, not a word, whispered Squirrel. So it's just that is Little Grey Rabbit. So even though they did refer to her as Little Grey Rabbit, earlier they also called her just known as Grey Rabbit. So I guess there are multiple rabbits of multiple sizes. Though there may be different coloured rabbits, because they've always specified the greyness. Anyway, no, it's a secret, said Hare hastily. Hare's known for being quick and hasty. See Aesop. A secret from me? Asked Grey Rabbit. It's something that mustn't be told, said Hare with importance. It's just defining secret. You are a funny pair, laughed Grey Rabbit. Will you come for a walk to visit the Speckledy Hen? Speckledy, I suppose, can be considered a colour as well. So I guess there could be more than one hen. But it's the Speckledy Hen, which is slightly interesting. Otherwise, they've just said Grey Rabbit, Hare, Squirrel, but it's the Speckledy Hen. Though the isn't capitalised the way Speckledy is. So, that's interesting. I want some eggs for tea. Oh, maybe the Speckledy Hen's just a pub or a shop then. Getting eggs. We'll come, won't we, Hare? Said Squirrel, throwing down the rake. They may want eggs as well if they're baking a cake. Maybe that's what's going on there. They went through the field where Mouldy Warp lived. I have no idea what Mouldy Warp is. I don't know if Warp's an animal or if it's just a name. Intriguing. Hello, he cried. That must be Mouldy Warp when the 3 friends arrived. This is a surprise. He hurried to fetch glasses of heather ale and brought them outside. These are, I don't know what the, I don't know a lot of things. I don't know if heather ale is alcoholic. I don't know if 3-year-old rabbits are allowed to drink. A lot of questions. I'm going to assume heather ale is not booze. I mean, Hare, as we can see here, is dressed a bit like a grown-up, so it could be old enough to drink. But we shall see. I'm going to tell, Hare suddenly exclaimed. I can't keep the secret in. I shall burst. No, no, cried Squirrel, shaking his arm. Come inside and whisper it to me, and whisper it to me in the doorpost. I think the doorpost is a person. I think it's anthropomorphized. I think that just means whisper it to me near the door. It said mole kindly. I guess mole is another name for moldywwarp. Because there isn't another mole. Maybe in a previous version they introduced the mole as moldywwarp earlier and then they didn't edit it on that page. I'm not really sure that's happened. Mole must be moldywwarp anyway. Hare followed him into the passage. They haven't really said what kind of... He lives in a field. So they went through the field where moldywwarp lived. Well, he lives in some sort of building in the field, and you can see this here. Okay. Okay, I think I know what's going on. It's Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day, and we're going to make a cake, he said breathlessly. Ah, that is a good secret, agreed Mole. I'll give her a present. And come to tea with us, said Hare. Thank you, Hare, said Mole. The three friends said goodbye. I thought... Oh, the three friends said goodbye to Mole. I would assume Mole is also another friend who's saying goodbye, but they mean the three friends who are going around in a group. It said earlier when the three friends arrived, so the three friends said goodbye. I guess that's okay. But I expect the Mole did say adieu as well. And Grey Rabbit led the way through the wood. They're originally in a field. Through the wood to the great tree where Owl lived. Well, that's better because, I mean, earlier they just said through the field where moldywwarp lived. Didn't mention the actual house, but now you know that this owl is going to be living in the great tree. So that's slightly better in terms of knowing what's going on. Squirrel ran up the tree and called softly through the open window, "Wise owl." They only call an owl on the previous page, so well, it seems yet optional. Well, they never just said rabbit, but now it's wise owl. I guess it's the same as owl. It's Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day. Grrr. Oh, it's snoring, so it's grrr, grrr, grrr. Snored wise owl. This is GR-GR-GR. Snored wise owl, but he heard in his dreams all the same. So that means he knew. They're saying that the wise owl now knows what's going on. But they didn't tell him about the cake or anything. So you won't know exactly what the plan is. They passed into the fields where Hedgehog, was coming back from milking. I guess milking cows. That's what people normally milk. It doesn't specify. Can we have a drink? Asked Squirrel. Presumably if there's milk dancing up to him. It's thirsty work keeping secrets. Hare took Old Hedgehog aside. So Hedgehog has the optional first name Old. I mean, you could just treat these as first names and surnames. So sometimes it's a bit kind of old-fashioned private school, just calling him Hedgehog. And sometimes it's like academia, say Dawkins or just an academic. Football players. Say Gerard, you know, always say Steven Gerrard. So Old, it could just be the first name, Hedgehog just the surname. But it just makes Little Grey Rabbit a bit of the exception, but Grey Rabbit is the star of the show, so maybe that's okay to be a bit special. Anyway, Hare took Old Hedgehog aside and whispered, "It's Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day. We are going to make her a cake, and you can come and taste it." "Ah, thank ye," cried Hedgehog. Ye there, quite an old-fashioned way of saying you. What I do quite like about this kind of book is they're going around various different people and saying what's going to happen. So they keep repeating it's Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day. So as the reader, you pretty much know that it's going to be Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day. Unless Squirrel and Hare will have turned out to have got the day wrong. It's always possible. Come along, Hare, we shall never get to the Speckledy Hen's house, called Grey Rabbit, if you spend all the time telling secrets. When they arrived at the farm, there was the Speckledy Hen walking about. We've come for some eggs, Speckledy Hen. Now again here, the hen is the only one they're putting a the in front of, but when they're addressing the hen, in what you traditionally call the vocative, they just call it, he. A hen is normally in she. Just call her Speckledy Hen. Said Grey Rabbit. Well, the hen, no, it's just the lowercase and hen large, which I don't really get. I mean, I get this is children. Capitalization rules can be a bit different in fiction, but confusing. While the hen was filling up the basket, Hare whispered in her ear, "It's Grey Rabbit's birthday on Midsummer Day. We're going to make a cake, and you can come and taste it." Well, that's almost exactly what she said. That is exactly what she said to the hedgehog. "I'll bring a present for dear Grey Rabbit," whispered Hen. I didn't really whisper that, but never mind. It's probably going to be an egg, is it? But did they... Well, only the rabbit got the egg, so presumably the cake ingredients are going to be sourced elsewhere, or they've already got what they need. Because otherwise they'll have only bought the number of eggs that the rabbit needed for her escapades. No pun intended. The next day, Squirrel and Hare decided to make the cake. That's fine using decide. I mean, they've already decided to make the cake, but it means they were going to do it. "We must do it secretly," said Hare. "Won't Grey Rabbit be surprised? She doesn't know we can make cakes." "We don't know either," muttered Squirrel. So that seems to be a first-time thing. "Grey Rabbit, go away," commanded Hare when little Grey Rabbit came in from the garden. "Oh, Hare, what have I done? What's the matter?" Her ears drooped and a tear came into her eye. She doesn't know about the secret. Squirrel stamped her foot. "Hare, how stupid you are!" she exclaimed. She wiped Grey Rabbit's eyes and said kindly, "Grey Rabbit, please will you take a bottle of primrose wine to Wise Owl?" So heather ale and primrose wine, they're quite boozy animals, these guys. "He was hooting last night. Moldy Warp, who we suspect is the mole, would like a visit." Moldy Warp can't be the owl, can he? And I'm sure Fuzzy Peg would love to hear a story. Or is Fuzzy Peg the owl? Or Fuzzy Peg could almost be the hedgehog. Hedgehog's fuzzy, and they're kind of prickly. Well, it's really confusing me, these other names. He was hooting, and that means he needs wine. Is that a thing? Go for a hoot? Have a drink the next morning? I don't know. I mean, it's possible, as I said earlier, this is part of a series. It's possible you get introduced to the characters and their drinking habits in another book. In which case, you are more at home with what's going on here. Well, let's see, maybe they'll tell us who Fuzzy Peg is. "Then I'll run off at once," said Grey Rabbit, smiling at her two friends. That's Hare and Squirrel. "Goodbye," called Squirrel and Hare, and they waved their paws as Grey Rabbit went along the lane. And if she's going to see Warp and possibly the owl and whoever this Fuzzy Peg is, she'll have to go through the field, not just down the lane. But the lane could lead to the field. That's not necessarily false. "Quickly, quickly," cried Hare. There's Hare again. Hares have this habit of wanting to be quick. Squirrel sniffed at all the jars of spices and herbs on the dresser. "Here's tansy," I've no idea what that is, "and woodruff," I guess they're spices and herbs, "and preserved violets and bottled cherries," she said. "Here's poppy seed and acorns and beech nuts," said Hare. "Oh, here's the pepper pot. How much shall I put in?" "A fistful of everything makes a nice cake," said Squirrel. So they dipped their paws into every jar and mixed the seeds and herbs in the yellow bowl. Okay. So it hasn't mentioned any eggs yet. Is the oven hot? Said a deep voice. There at the window was old Hedgehog watching them with twinkling eyes. I cummed with extra milk for the cake. Well, this is the guy who said ye earlier, so maybe saying cummed and ye is, I don't know if cummed is old-fashioned or just wrong, or I guess, I don't really like to say wrong, but non-standard. Said he. Even the narrator's getting into it now by saying said he instead of he said. It's interesting. Narrator's being infected by the unusual speaking habits of the characters. You didn't ought to put pepper in it. People would say that's non-standard. Saying didn't ought. I don't know if you mean that the milk will balance out the pepper. The extra milk. Oh, he was milking earlier, so that's quite nice that we know that old Hedgehog seems to have access to some cows, or at least some source of milk. It's like, I like that, it's like a throwback to a few pages ago. Hare blushed and tried to hide the pepper pot. Oh, Hare, we shall have to begin all over again, said Squirrel. Oh, so the milk isn't enough to balance out the... I misinterpreted that then. It's a shame. I'll come and lend a hand, said old Hedgehog. He made up the fire and showed Squirrel how to mix the sugar and butter together, as more traditional cake ingredients, and how to sprinkle in the currants and spices. Hare ran to the garden and brought in rose petals and violets, all the sweet-smelling things he could find to add to the cake. He beat up the eggs, so I guess they just had some eggs, till they were a yellow froth, and Hedgehog dropped them into the mixture. Sounds reasonable baking. Now I must be off, said Hedgehog. It's normal there, they made him say that in an odd way. Remember not to open the oven door till the good rich smell comes out. They popped the cake in the hot oven and shut the door. I think they mentioned the Hedgehog preheating the oven, did they? It's made up the fire. Basically what was happening there. Pop the cake and just in the oven and hot door. After a while there came a strong sweet smell. That would seem as a good rich smell. The cake, Hare cried, it's telling us it's ready to come out. So Squirrel wrapped a cloth round her paw and lifted out the good smelling cake. Good smelling, it's hyphenated. As brown as a berry, all puffed up and crinkly with sugar and spices. Berries come in all kinds of colours, so I don't really know what brown as a berry means. I get the others. They carried it into the garden and hid it under an empty beehive. Probably a good place to hide something. Because if you're scared of bees, you probably wouldn't go looking under beehives. Okay, this is slightly longer than I thought it was going to be, but I think we can get through it. The next day, when Grey Rabbit had gone out to gather wool from the hedges, not sure why she needs wool, Squirrel ran to the garden for the cake. She iced it and wrote, Grey Rabbit's birthday. So they didn't write Little Grey Rabbit. Well, I don't know if they've got room, but normally for like a cake you want to write the full name. Unless Grey Rabbit's more affectionate. And Little Grey is a bit official. Then only Little would be almost a diminutive, which would be a sign of affection. But maybe because Grey Rabbit's growing up, they want to emphasise the fact that she ain't so little no more, as it were. So maybe it's nice on your birthday not to be, not to have your little diminutive size pointed out constantly. Sorry, slight interruption there. So she wrote Grey Rabbit's birthday on the top in the pollen dust. She just like used her finger to go through the dust. I thought she was icing it in like kind of frosted lettering, but it seems not. Hare put lots of candles around the edge. Well, that's weird. They said they were going to do 3 candles. But maybe I misunderstood and the rabbit isn't 3. Maybe it's 100. Oh yeah, maybe they never said the rabbit was 3. Okay. Hare put lots of candles around the edge. Big candles, little candles, red and blue and green ones, and then they danced for joy. You think they would have at least checked how many candles, because they seemed quite aware of the tradition earlier. And then they danced for joy. It is fit for a fairy queen, they told each other. They hid the cave in the beehive again, ready for Midsummer Day. I'm going to make a fan. Midsummer Day tends to be quite warm. I don't know if there's a disaster coming up where the cake melts or something. It's made of butter. Might not want to be left outside. Not sure how airtight beehives are. But I can imagine it getting quite hot there. Anyway, I'm going to make a fan for Grey Rabbit, said Squirrel. Well, that'll be good if it's hot. I shall ask the green woodpecker and the goldfinch for some feathers. Now those are again lowercase, so I guess these aren't principal characters who get their names capitalised. And I will make a purse for... These aren't even anthropomorphized, these birds, look. These are just not even wearing clothes, so these are kind of animals. To be treated as animals, not as people. And I will make a purse for her, said Hare. Squirrel begged a few feathers from the birds. She put them together, and there was the prettiest little fan of green and gold. That's nice. Now the green woodpecker and the goldfinch. So she's able to get those two colours. Hare went to the pasture for a puffball. Don't know what that is. He washed the little bag in the dew. I really don't know what that is. Some sort of something comes off a flower. I really know. And then he tied it with ribbon grasses, which is like long thin piece of grass that you can tie like ribbons. Darkness came and the three little animals went upstairs to bed. I'm really not sure which three animals they mean. Squirrel and Hare, certainly. But well, hedgehog we had much earlier. That was days ago, wasn't it? Yeah, the next day. I mean, this day we've had rabbit, squirrel. No, rabbit had gone out to gather wool, so rabbit's not really there. And there's a picture of hedgehog here, potentially going to bed. But it's not clear which three animals are meant here. I think it means rabbit, but I mean maybe they all live together. And that's why it's always the three friends. Maybe they actually are like a team. I mean, conceivably there could even be one book in this series called The Three Little Animals. So this may be clear if you know more of the canon. In the night, Grey Rabbit was wakened by a faint noise under her window. She slipped out of bed and, putting her cloak over her nightgown, ran downstairs and into the garden. There, crouched in a sad, prickly little ball, was Fuzzy Peg. Ah, here we go. It's the big reveal about who Fuzzy Peg is. What's the matter, Fuzzy Peg? Whispered Grey Rabbit. I comed to say happy birthday, said Fuzzy Peg. So it does seem to be the hedgehog. Certainly, the picture would suggest it's the hedgehog, and it is talking like the hedgehog. And that was a suspicion I had earlier. I got out of the window. I runned very fast. It's another non-standard past tense there, runned. But I heard Wise Owl hooting and I got frightened. Owls, I think, probably eat hedgehogs. So I'd be frightened if I were a hedgehog running around. Poor little Fuzzy Peg. No, that is just little Fuzzy Peg. They haven't capitalised little there. Or poor, well, they have poor, but it's the start of a sentence. I thought Fuzzy Peg was maybe like old. And like, or maybe Fuzzy Peg's like when you've got old hedgehog. How maybe Fuzzy Peg is like a relative then, like some sort of kid hedgehog. Because I mean, your old hedgehog who knows not to put pepper in cakes wouldn't really be running around getting scared. And being called Little and Fuzzy Pig. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the fact this is probably a second hedgehog. Possibly a relative. And maybe that's the deal with Mouldy Warp. Was Well, be a second mole. Kids have names and the others are just animal names. Who knows? Anyway, poor little Fuzzy Beg, said Grey Rabbit softly, you had better come into my bed. Though they had a very similar way of talking, but it could just be that runs in the hedgehog family. Maybe hedgehogs are supposed to be foreign in some way, so it's supposed to just suggest that they haven't quite mastered the language. Who knows? Anyway, now the rabbit's doing all the work. She took his paw and led him upstairs. I knew you'd take care of me, Grey Rabbit. Happy birthday. It isn't my birthday until tomorrow, Fuzzy Pig, said Grey Rabbit. Well, it's not clear if midnight's passed or not, I don't think. I don't think we reached that time. In the night, you know, could still be. But a lot of people and rabbits probably the same when consider it their birthday until they get up in the morning. Anyway, she tucked him up and she wrapped her cloak around herself and crept under the bed. She couldn't sleep with a bundle of prickles by her side. The next morning, that's very gracious, giving someone a new bed, sleeping on the floor. The next morning, Hare and Squirrel raced downstairs to get the breakfast. I'm going to say happy birthday to Grey Rabbit, said Hare. So am I, said Squirrel. I would say the chances are it is after midnight if it's the day before midsummer, because it's pretty dark. So, just the majority of the night is probably after midnight. But it's still a bit of a coin flip. I shall say it first because I'm bigger than you, said Hare. No, I shall say it first because I'm the little one, said Squirrel. Well, clearly hasn't been decided whether being big or little entitles you to say things first. They stared at each other crossly. Let's both say it together, said Squirrel. That's nice. Squirrel's a big fan of togetherness. If you remember earlier on, Squirrel said they should get a present that everyone can enjoy as well. Squirrel, big team player. So upstairs they bundled and they flung open the bedroom door. Happy birthday! Came squeaking from the bed, and out of the blankets came Fuzzy Peg's dark head. No, that's... I mean, I'm not really going to get involved with that, but I hope they're not giving the characters with dark heads the non-standard English or some sort of commentary. Some sort of colonial approach. I have no idea who Alison Uttley is. I'll treat this in good faith. I certainly assume that there's no colonial background to this. Although Fuzzy Peg, slightly reminiscent of some dodgy term for dark-headed individuals. Utley, I don't know when this book's from, it might be like really old and problematic, which would be a bit upsetting. Yeah, she was born in the 19th century, so it seems entirely possible that it's not a coincidence that we have someone called Fuzzy Peg talking in non-standard English with a dark head. That puts a bit of a stain on the whole occasion. I'll keep going. I mean, I'm not here to recommend the book, I'm here to read it and review it. I said it first, said he. The noise wakened Grey Rabbit, and she crawled out from under the bed. Hare and Squirrel were so surprised they never said happy birthday at all. They just stared and stared because they were expecting the rabbit in the bed. Milko! The call came from the kitchen. Has anyone seen our Fuzzy Peg? He runned away in the night, and it's my belief he came to see Miss Grey Rabbit. Miss Grey Rabbit. So I guess she's grown up. She's probably not 3 at all. Well, that sold me a dummy. The whole calling her little on the front cover, and in some places. Here he is, Hedgehog, they shouted, running downstairs. I said it first, boasted Fuzzy Peg. I said happy birthday before any of you. He said he would be the first, and he's done it, said old Hedgehog proudly. Let him stay for breakfast. I mean, he even said it the previous evening or night. No. Let him stay for breakfast, pleaded Grey Rabbit, and Hedgehog agreed. Soon they all sat round the table and ate the nice food. It's your birthday, Grey Rabbit, said Squirrel, so you shall have a holiday. We'll wash up the cups and plates. Holiday there just probably means a day off. Doesn't mean she's going anywhere. They call that a staycation these days. Then I'll go into the garden with Fuzzy Peg and show him the flowers, said Grey Rabbit. And she's doing that. She's in the garden with the little hedgehog. I believe we can now have confirmed as a junior relation of old hedgehog. When they came to the beehive, a stream of honeybees flew out. Hey, Squirrel, a swarm of bees is living in our empty hive, called Grey Rabbit. Well, that's worrying because there was a cake there. Isn't it exciting? Listen, they are humming something. This is what they heard. It's Grey Rabbit's birthday. She doesn't want money or fine clothes or riches. We'll make her some honey. Hare and Squirrel looked at one another and sighed. Honey out of our cake, they whispered. Yes, very upsetting. The cake has been turned into bee honey. At 4 o'clock, Squirrel and Hare sent Grey... Oh no, it hasn't. Look, there's a picture on the next page of the cake, seemingly intact. At 4 o'clock, Squirrel and Hare sent Grey Rabbit upstairs while they got ready the tea. It's a bit of a weird way of saying, well, they got the tea ready. Don't we say nowadays? It's just 19th century for you. Then they ran down the garden to the beehive. They lifted up the straw skep. I don't know what that is, but it must be the cover of the beehive. And there was the cake, looking nicer than ever, in spite of all this bee activity. Around it were little pots of honey, each as big as a thimble. They carried... You can actually see that in that one, a very well defined here picture, but that you can see little pots of honey around there. It's nice when the pictures match. Grey Rabbit came running downstairs. What a surprise! The table was beautiful with the birthday cake and all the candles alight upon it. Again, they've just said all, they haven't specified how many. The tiny pots of honey shone like gold, and there were dishes of cresses and nuts and cream. I'm not sure if those are dishes of nuts and cream or dishes of cresses and then nuts and cream separately. I guess that isn't that important. Oh, oh, cried Grey Rabbit, what's this? It's somebody's birthday cake, said Squirrel. It's everybody's cake. And here they come to the feast, said Hare. These are all the people I invited earlier on. Up the path came many little feet. Then there was a rat-a-tat-tat at the door. They're inside again, are they? I thought they were in the garden. Oh no, they carried the treasures indoors. Sorry, I was misled by the picture. No, okay. Come in, cried Squirrel. In trooped Mouldy-Warp, the hedgehog family, the speckledy hen, and a crowd of little animals. Well, judging from the picture, Mouldy-Warp may just be the mole here, so they may not be separate moles. Many happy returns, Grey Rabbit, they cried. They saw the table, the lighted cake, and the honey pots. Then Squirrel gave Grey Rabbit the little fan made of feathers, and Hare brought out the purse tied with green ribbon grass. Everybody had brought a present, but Mouldy-Warp's present was the best of all. It was the Song of the Nightingale in a tiny musical box. That's just the nightingale again. So most of these songbirds are not people, as it were. They were all listening to the music when the door was pushed open and a pair of large blinking eyes appeared. I won't come in, hooted Wise Owl, but I've brought a small token of my regard for Grey Rabbit. Oh, that's an owl. That is an... Oh, I see. There's a picture there. This is an owl. I didn't realise it now. I thought that was like the snout of a bear, but that's actually just one of the eyes of the owl. I got a bit confused. He thrust one claw forward and dropped a book on the table. Owls are often wise and do reading and stuff. It's a bit of a stereotype. Then he drifted away as silently as he had come. No, I didn't say. House finally came. He didn't rat-a-tat-tat on the door the same way as the others did, so it's the contrast there. Oof, exclaimed Mouldy Warp. That was a shock. Okay, what has he brought? Asked Hare. It's called Wise Owl's Guide to Knowledge, said Grey Rabbit, holding the tiny green volume. Cut the cake, Grey Rabbit, called Hare. I'm hungry, cut the cake. It's kind of funny that they say it's a tiny green book or volume. It's a guide to knowledge. It suggests it doesn't have much knowledge, or at least you don't need much guidance in accessing it. So Grey Rabbit cut the beautiful birthday cake and they all had a piece. It was as nice as it looked. Really, Hare and Squirrel had made it very well. Mouldy Warp drank, and the bees didn't destroy it, which is nice. Mouldy Warp drank Grey Rabbit's health, Squirrel recited a little poem, and Hare played a tune on his flute. Well, they all laughed and sang and danced till night came, and then they went home by the light of the moon. And as it's midsummer, night will have come quite late, so that will be quite the party. I haven't been counting the candles on the cake either, but it's at least 12 or so from what I can see. What a lovely birthday it has been, said Grey Rabbit. How kind everybody is to me. She looked at all the little treasures the woodland folk had brought. Being referred to as woodland folk, even though the mole lives in a field. That's okay. Woodland, I guess, can also refer to the countryside around the wood. It doesn't actually have to be in the wood. Then she went upstairs to bed with the musical box under her arm. She turned the handle and the voice of the nightingale came trilling out. From the woods, another nightingale answered. It's possibly a thing that nightingales talk to each other. A happy birthday, Grey Rabbit, it seemed to say. Thank you for all the fun you give us. Okay. Well, that's the end. This has been quite a long episode, but I was glad to read the whole thing. So yeah, the treatment of the hedgehogs was slightly dubious. This may even be a revised edition. This one was first published in 2015. If you got a previous edition, then it's possible you would discover some more details about that. There may be slightly different wordings in the old ones that shed more light on that. Other than that, I was a bit confused, certainly, because I didn't get the age of this rabbit. Started off as though, little grey rabbit. It sounded very much like it was a child, but then I'm thinking less so. It certainly behaved quite an adult way, a grown-up way, would be a better way of saying that. And I found the names very confusing. Like, I didn't know why it was the speckledy hen when all the others had just their animal type with optional adjective, just as their name, except for a couple who were called very odd things like Mouldy Warp. So some confusion, not entirely clear. Also didn't quite get the geography of the place. And it uses words like skep, but I guess maybe that's just my ignorance of woodland life. I don't know what a straw skep is, but you get it from the pictures. The pictures seemed quite consistent with the text, which is always nice. Except for the odd owl that looked like a bear. But yeah, as I say, there seems to be some sort of series. I'm not going to say like the Peter Rabbit ones, but you have little animals wearing clothes. Certain similarities, I'm sure, could be established. And it's possible that if you read the others, you get to know the characters better, and then these names aren't nearly as confusing. So that's the review. Long one today. Hope you enjoy it, and do write in the comments if you did, or if you have requests for other Uttley books. And otherwise, thanks for watching this episode of Mr. Bench's Book Reviews. See ya.